the multitasking, recently used apps. Thank you, Robin. I just happened to see that because I was looking at the email on the, okay. So, recently used apps means on the iPad, double tap the home button and you get this list of apps that have been used. Now, if I open up another one, let's say the iPhoto. Now, when I double tap, I have 3 apps down there. And you can, the way you get rid of them is to swipe them off the screen. But you don't have to do that. So the purpose of this is to be able to quickly go back and forth. So here we have our blog. If I need to go to my email, double tap, tap email. Want to go back to the blog? Double tap, tap blog. So that is multitasking, being able to quickly switch back and forth. Some people will tell you on iPad and iPhone that you need to clear this out. I'm here to tell you that you don't need to clear that out. It doesn't hurt anything, but the only reason that you need to clear an app out is if it's become non-responsive, if it's frozen, if there's something wrong with it. So if my email app has become non-responsive and I use the recently used app to bring it back up, it's still going to be non-responsive because the recently used apps kind of keeps your place. Wherever you left off is where you'll come back. If you want to come back to the beginning, that's what swiping it off and starting it all over again is for. That forces it to restart. And some people won't believe me, so I challenge you to go to Apple support page and look up multitasking, and you will read the official Apple support that says the only reason you need to clear an app off is to clear an unresponsive app.
So you checked with the Apple support.
I did.
So you're not just making this stuff up.
Because, you know, I'm not really, you know, I'm not that much of an Apple aficionado, but I studied. Okay. So, Jim, you want to show them a little bit on recently used apps on your phone?
Okay, sure. Let me get to the document camera here. There we go. That looks pretty good. And so what do I want to do first?
Just show on your phone, you have a physical button. How do you bring up your list of recently used apps?
Okay, I have a home button on mine, so I long press. I have Google running, I have FoxFi running, and I can go into those apps directly from that screen.
Okay, but with a long press, you see a list. And how do you clear these off?
If I wanted to clear them off, I would just swipe them to the right or to the left, and that would make them go away. I can also close them all with a button down at the bottom, close all apps. I can open up my task manager, and I can go right to Google from there. It's kind of nice.
Okay, but now show your recently used apps. You cleared them off, right?
Yeah.
Now long press on the home button.
Well,
okay. What I wanted to see is where it actually says you have no recently used apps.
Oh, it doesn't do that here.
Oh. There we go. Yeah, that's what I meant. No, so if you've cleared it out, there are no recently used apps. Okay, and that's different from Task Manager, though, right?
Mm-hmm. Task
Manager is actually programs that are running in the background rather than apps that you've
used.
You've used, yeah. Oh, now it's back to me?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are some devices, though, that have a dedicated recent apps button, and the Samsung S5 is one of them. So let me show you mine. And I used this yesterday. Boy, did I use this yesterday.
Yep.
But first of all, the button. On this one, see that? The light button that looks like just two squares. That is the recently used apps key. It's always, all you have to do is tap it once and you get the recently used list. Okay. Now I can just go home. And yesterday, as we were driving, one of the things we like to do is read a book out loud. You know, we just, I don't know, what, are we too cheap to buy books on tape or something like that? We have the book on our Amazon Kindle reader right here.
Hey, this is my app of the week.
Yeah, I know. You can talk a little bit more about it. I'm just going to talk about going back and forth.
Get it now. I'm not going to do it.
So I would be reading the book out loud, and then we'd turn around the corner, and I'd see something that I need to take a picture of. Well, I need the camera. So the first time, I'll go and open up the camera. But now, so I've taken the picture.
That's a nice
you're
picture.
Just going to see shoes on the floor here. I've taken the picture, and I want to go back to reading the book. Just tap on the all apps, or recently used apps, tap on the book. And notice the most recently used apps will be at the bottom of the list. Oops, I see another picture I got to take. Recently used apps, camera. Want to go back to reading, recently used apps, and the Kindle book.
I can see where that would be really, really handy.
So that's about the recently used apps. But the same thing in Android. People get kind of freaked out when they see this whole list of stuff. It's just like having a folder on your desk. It's not doing anything. It's not using up any resources, but it is kind of being a mess. So if you want to clear them off, no problem, so that you only have the two that you're really working with.
But then when you need them again, you have to start them from scratch. And they're not just sitting there waiting for you.
From scratch, yeah.
Okay.
And one thing we didn't mention is on the Android, you do have the ability to close all with just one tap. You can close all. Okay. So yeah, have I ruined your app of the week?
No, I'll still talk about it. That's okay. All right. So now you've shown the Galaxy S5.
No, you haven't. There's another slide on app of the week.
There is? Where'd that go?
Did that come before mine?
Let's see.
Go back to you. Okay, sorry.
There's mine.
Okay. We do have some notes here.
Yeah.
And actually,
hard to believe, isn't it?
These show notes will someday, when we get them together, be available to our members. We are archiving all of these shows on our geeksontour.com membership website. And one of the benefits we're going to give to members is we will index them and put in the show notes all the things that we talked about. Okay.
Sure. That's what you say now. Okay, so I'm going to show my app of the week. It's the Amazon Kindle app. And let me just switch cameras there. Okay. That looks pretty good. All right. And I have Amazon Kindle on one of my home screens. Amazon Kindle, it starts with A. Everybody thinks it's just A. Kindle doesn't start with a K. It starts with an A. I've lost it several times until I remembered that it actually starts with Amazon. The cool thing about Amazon Kindle is there's no need for a separate device. All your downloaded books are available offline, so you don't need to be connected to the internet after you've downloaded them. You can read them when you don't have a good internet connection. And you can get the Amazon Kindle app for the Android phones, for the iPhones, iPads, Android tablets, PCs. What else?
Yeah, just all phones and tablets.
All phones and tablets and computers.
And computers, right.
So it might be easier to organize your books and things like that on your PC, especially if you have hundreds of books. But the cool thing about it is you just have all of your books here, and you can scroll through. And if you're reading a book, all you need to do is tap on it. It'll open it up. If it needs to, it'll download it. If it's already on your device, it'll just open it right up. So let's see, what do I have open here? Teddy Roosevelt. All right, it's loading.
I actually like using the Kindle Reader on my phone. People say, how can you possibly read from such a small screen? Well, first of all, our phones aren't all that small, but second of all, you have control over the fonts. You can make them plenty big.
You can change the font typeface, something that makes it easier for you to read. You can change the colors. But you notice that when I came back in here, it came right back to the page that I had been reading on another device. So that's what's really cool.
It synchronizes through your Amazon account. So I can be reading it. The phone is really great for reading in bed because it's easy to hold on to with one hand and hold up above your head to read. But then during the day, if I'm on the couch, I might pick up my iPad, but it doesn't matter. I pick up right where I left off on the other device.
Right, I like reading on my Nexus 7 better than on my phone, and my Nexus 7 is usually right by the bed, and it's being used for all sorts of things there. And but all your devices with the app will just stay in sync, and you can pay attention to all your library. It's just a really cool thing to have.
Another benefit is that they are downloaded onto your device. They are downloaded onto your device. So, for example, yesterday, when we were driving through the mountains of Colorado, there was lots of places where we had no signal whatsoever. So I even took a screenshot. There was a big 0 with a slash through it where the signal used to be. But no problem, I could still read the Kindle book because that was downloaded onto the device. You're not using any of your data plan just while you're reading.
Now, you are using your data plan when you're downloading these, so you might want to use your Wi-Fi instead of your metered cellular plan
to download the book.
To download the book.
Most of them are just text. They're really not all that big. Okay, now I'm doing a Galaxy issue.
Okay.
So that was back a couple slides.
All right, let me go back there then. That's the one.
Yep. Okay. So the Samsung issue for today, the Samsung Galaxy S5 issue for today, is power saving. So maybe other phones have this, I'm not sure, but this is, I'll betcha none of the other ones have the ultra power saving. Now, how did I just get to that screen? This top area is called your notification bar, and it is very powerful. That is just where all the special stuff is. When you drag down, the first area is shortcuts to system settings. So, for example, to turn Bluetooth on or off, to turn Wi-Fi on or off. And then there is power saving. Let's see what that is. I just tap it once, and it says, well, your battery is right now at 74%, so I really don't need ultra power savings. But here's what it does. It changes the color of the screen to grayscale. It restricts application usage to only essential applications and those selected by you. It turns off mobile data when the screen turns off. That's kind of cool. It turns off connectivity features such as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So I'm going to say OK, just for you to see what it looks like. Enabling ultra power saving mode. Call was disconnected. Oh, shoot. I'm connected to this. Okay, so you gotta pick back up. What I did by going into ultra saving mode, I turned off the hotspot that my phone was providing to this device that I'm connected to the Hangout on. So, hey. So now I'm on Mr. Geek. And I should be back in a minute, or this screen should be back in a minute. You're still hearing me, right?
I think so.
Are you still hearing me?
All right.
Okay.
Has it come back on? Yep, there it is. No?
I'm trying.
Okay.
Just
It's
a second.
there.
Yeah.
So we're just
does.
having to reconnect, but it's not there yet, I'm sure. Okay.
Now it's.
Oh, there it went. Now it's got to come back.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
Okay. Phew. Well, now you understand what one thing it does. It turns off your hotspot if you go into ultra power saving mode. Okay. Now, when would you use this? This is just for, it's 10 o'clock at night and you know you need to have your phone for emergencies and you're down to 2% battery left and you don't have a backup battery. Put it into ultra power saving mode and you will have a couple hours left on your phone. Now I want to turn off ultra power saving mode and go back to the norm. Now, actually, I have never used the ultra power saving mode because it is awfully drastic. I will notice when my phone is down to about 10%, and then I will just use the regular power saving mode, which will give me, you know, another couple hours. If you just don't use it then, you'll only be using it for emergency phone calls, for example. And the regular power saving mode is not on this shortcut, but it is on your main settings. That little gear is settings. And power saving mode, and you can turn it on. I am not going to. I've learned my lesson. Now, how did I learn about this? I went to help, and as promised in our first episode, I want to keep reminding you about help. So in the Samsung Galaxy S5, if you go to all apps, you will see one with blue question mark called help. And watch, I highly recommend that you watch all of these how-to videos. And the one on power saving is one of the additional videos. And battery conservation tips and tricks. And it takes a minute to load, but that's where I learned it.
Get the most out of your battery by using some great power saving techniques.
You probably can't hear that, so I won't play the whole thing. But if you have a Samsung Galaxy S5, promise me that you will go watch these. Okay. There's one other little tip for batteries, though, is to have a spare battery. And another reason that we got the Samsung phones is you can, they still see me? Yeah. You can take this little plastic back off, and there's the battery right there. You can get a new battery.
You can replace the battery.
And replace it yourself. You don't have to send it to the factory to get a new refurbished phone. So that is wonderful. You can also buy, and make sure if you do take the back off of these things, make sure to click it back in all the way around, because these are water resistant, but only if they are set back in tightly. I have a spare battery here. Usually, when we're getting low in battery, I grab our spare battery, making sure that it has been kept charged.
That's a hard thing to remember. Keeping that charged.
And you can plug this right into the charging part of the phone. And now, once again, you have another couple hours. Just plug it in, and it will now be charging your phone. Can you see? See that?
A little tight.
Okay.
But yeah, you can probably. It is charging. I can attest to that fact.
All right. So do you have any other comments on power saving, Jim?
Well, I think that turning off the screen, main thing, is the best thing that you can do to save power. And these batteries have gotten a lot better, but it's still the biggest problem is to keep your batteries charged and to keep your device running when you need it. So we keep cables around all the time. We keep them plugged in a fair amount. So batteries are going to be the death of me, I'm sure. And the reason that I got this Samsung phone was because of battery. If I needed, my old phone the battery wasn't keeping up with it, and it would just die within a few minutes if I wasn't plugged in. I had to have a new phone. Now I can just get a new battery. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, I can see that we need to get better at monitoring comments. People were trying to tell us that there is no sound for a long time.
Uh-oh.
But I think they're back now.
Okay.
Okay, so one question that we had during the week that we said, okay, we'll do that, is how to use FoxFi on the Samsung Galaxy 5S. Because there is, now what is FoxFi?
Oh, FoxFi is the software that, it's an app that you can download so you can use your cellular data as a Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, all smartphones can do that. It's just starting your Wi-Fi hotspot or your personal hotspot on your phone, but sometimes that incurs extra charges if you're using it through whatever provider. If we were to use it on our plan, with our contract, with our phones, we would incur another $20 a month cost. So instead, there's this app out there that allows us to use the tethering without paying the extra money and still continuing to use our unlimited data plan. So that's what we really like to use.
And at our seminars at RV rallies, we've told a lot of people about this app. So that's why we would get the question. So I will show you on my Galaxy S5. And now that I know it has been turned off, it should be pretty easy to show you. So FoxFi is just an app. So I have to go to my All Apps and find it. You can download a free version of FoxFi.
And you should, to start.
Just to see if it works for you, because it does not work with all phones. It does not work with all cellular providers. So you download the free one, but if it does work, then you want the pay for one. It's only $10, $15.
Yeah, tops. One time.
Yeah, just a one-time charge. And here's how it works. I tap on FoxFi, and I activate Wi-Fi hotspot. Notice I've already changed the network name and given it a password. And it starts the hotspot. The problem is with the Samsung Galaxy S5, there's one more step, but it tells you that really clearly. Almost there. An extra step is needed on this phone. If it shows call to subscribe, then cancel or decline. That means that FoxFi isn't working and you are turning on your Verizon hotspot, which is an extra charge. So I can tap on Go to Settings, and then this is my phone's menu. Oh, here. I tapped on the back button So now I've messed it up. There we go. Almost there, an extra step. Go to settings. And now this is my phone's setting, and I do need to turn on mobile hotspot. And there it is right there. Change it from off to on. And it's set to allow all devices to connect. And the name of it and the password shows. And now you should see the little blue radio waves up in the upper left-hand corner. And on any other device, if I looked at the list of Wi-Fi hotspots, Mrs. Geek is now available to connect to. So I hope Steve was listening. Did that answer the question?
I hope so. Okay, we're about a little past time now, so we should start closing it up and just trying to figure out what we're doing here. But first of all, did you learn something? I hope so. I know I do every time we do one of these, like make sure the microphone's working. After we
did do a sound check, but then we fixed plots with something else.
Okay, so here's your list of review questions. We call it multitasking. Well, technically, it is just a list of...
So what goes in that blank? The multitasking is just a list of recently used apps.
Okay. True or false? You need an internet, a data connection, to read a downloaded book on your Kindle app.
Absolutely false. That's a great thing about them. You do need a connection to download the book in the first place, but now it's on your device and you can read it at any time without using any of your data plans.
Okay, true or false? Apps on your recently used list are using up valuable memory and processing resources.
No. And if you don't believe me, Google for it. Now, there are some apps that will use a tiny bit of resources when they're on the recently used list, but even those will soon go into a hibernation mode. So that list...
It's really not using up your resources or your battery or your...
It's just showing you your recently used apps so that you can get back to them quickly.
Okay, true or false? If your device has a power saving mode, you should leave it on all the time.
Also false, because there's things that don't work when you're in power saving mode. That's the whole point. In fact, the few times I have used it, I've used just the regular power saving mode, and that turns off background data. So the checking my email, the checking my Facebook notices is off when I'm in power saving mode. And the next morning, I go to look at my email, I say that's impossible, that there's no email since last night. It's because I had my power saving mode on and I had to turn it off.
Wow, okay.
And I just want to remind you that we have a lot more videos on our membership site at geeksontour.com. And please go and watch some more there.
Okay, and we have computer training and smartphone, tablet training with tutorial videos and a Q&A forum. We often forget or neglect to mention that our question and answer forum on our website, our membership website, where you can ask questions, can pay for the membership right there. It's just a great thing to have. All right.
Okay, so next week, our beginning lesson is going to be on customizing and arranging your home screens, finding stuff on your phone and tablet. And maybe we'll get, one of these days, we'll get everything right. We are getting better. So, but Jim, what does this button do?
This button? Well, I'm not sure. Don't touch it yet. Let's see what happens.
What? I'm going to touch this button right here.
Well, don't touch that.